Hey everybody, Forbidden Exile here. Welcome to a new video. So you saw in the clip, this build works great. I actually ended up dropping 2 brothers gifts, Raw Divine and just some other random stuff in that map. I'll put that full map at the end of this video just so you can see. But yeah, Crit Forbidden Rite, Magic Find, Pathfinder. That sounds weird. Sounds weird for me to say since I played the occultist version for so long. But it just works. I can't explain it. I Path-buildinged it before I put it together, and it seemed like it was going to work, and it actually did. So that's always nice when that happens. I tried to do a non-mageblood, non-dagger, non-super expensive version of the occultist version, and it didn't work. My Flasks couldn't stay up enough to make the build viable to play, much less put a video out on. And then obviously Pathfinder has all of the Flask Ascendancies to help with flask charges gained and increased effect of Flasks. So I tried it, and as you saw, it works fantastic. So as usual, we'll go over the gear, the gems, the skill tree, and then go over to Path of Building and show you what it looks like. So the claw, it's a regular castoncrit Gemini claw. I'll put a video up here, a link to a video on how to craft this. This is what it is. Fracture global crit multi with increased attack speed, increased crit chance, and then the unveiled spell damage. I could technically keep going and get the one that doesn't have non-chaos damage because I don't do any non-chaos damage. And I guess I technically do tier 4 flat fire damage. But I got tired of wasting 2 divine to do suffixes cannot be changed, and then wasting veiled chaos orbs. And then just make sure you have a open prefix to craft hits can't be evaded, which cost 3 exalted orbs. Also, you want to make sure you get a Gemini claw so you can get the mana on hit. It's a regular Crown of the Inward Eye with the Forbidden Rite fires additional projectile enchant on it. Aegis Aurora is mandatory for this build for any castoncrit build that uses a shield. The recover energy shield equal to 2% of your armor when you block. You just have to have it. And you get 10% to all elemental resistances, and then 5 to max cold res, and then increased armor and energy shield. For the ring, Venturous Gamble, try to get one that has as high of res as you can afford, that also has as high of a roll of rarity and quantity as you can get as well. You don't need to worry about the life roll, because you do need as much res on this as possible, because then that will help you with your jewels, which we'll get to when we get to the tree. For the body armor, Fracture Global Defense, Grasping Mail. You can go with Skin of the Lord, Skin of the Loyal, something like that if you would like, but you have to be able to craft increased mana reservation efficiency of skills, so you can't really use those on this build in order to run all the auras that you have to run. Then do Determination has increased effect and increased effect of non-curse auras. Those are the higher ones, Perfect and Greater. You don't have to get 24 and 20. I could re-roll this a few more times to get that extra suffix, maybe get some resistance on there, which would help me. But I got tired of wasting Loathing Essences, and I got 121% increased armor evasion energy shield on there. For the amulet, it's Bisco's Collar. This one took me a while to try and figure out how to get this amulet in there. I was using ashes for mana reservation and just damage and everything for increased quantity or quality of all my gems. But the increased rarity, increased quantity of items dropped. It's Magic Find build, so gotta have it. Champion of the Cause is anointed on there because you already have charisma and sovereignty on the tree. So that's the most efficient one for the third anoint, third mana reservation efficiency, because you get 8%. And you also get some more increased effective non-curse auras and increased area of effective aura skills, which that one's pointless. If you're playing in a party, then that one might help you out. For the other ring, try to get a PoE, however you say it, ring. Just gets more mana, and then you're going to need strength and dexterity on there as well. I got, just a Crusader ring. I got tier 3, I think, spell damage on there. And then the minimum endurance charges helps. I unveiled it, gives you a little bit more res. For the gloves, I've had these for a while. They're my Crit Forbidden Rite cultist gloves that I used for a very long time. They're pretty expensive to craft. Probably they cost me like 50 something divine to craft them. But they work great. The +2 level of socketed AoE gems is great for your auras. And then you get dexterity, increased attack speed, increased energy shield recharge rate, some more mana, and then just crafted increased energy shield. I could re-roll that +2 max cold res because I don't really need it because I'm not using Period of Ice and Melding to the Flesh to get like 90% res, all res, but it's too expensive to roll over, so I just leave it there. And then increased effect of your marks helps a lot with Assassin's Mark. This goes Leash. That's what it is. You know, do Attribute Catalyst to get as much strength on there as you can, and then try to get the 40 cold res. They're not super expensive. For the boots, these are double elevated castoncrit boots. I'll put a link to these up there on how to craft those. It's pretty simple. You get elevated cooldown, elevated tailwind, hit them with an Awakener's Orb, hope for the best. I got 10 fire res, which is crap, but it actually does help in this build because you need all the res that you can get. And then get some sort of movement speed. The increased movement speed, if you haven't been hit, doesn't work because Forbidden Rite hits you. You don't want Onslaught because how I have the build made, I'm at like 10.08 attacks per second. And if I have Onslaught, then my damage goes down. As far as the Flasks go, I have them down here because they go off all the time and it's super annoying when I'm just sitting in my hideout. So Diamond Flask with increased effect and tier 1 critical strike chance. Granite Flask with tier 2 increased armor and increased effect. A Quicksilver Flask with increased effect and crafted reduced mana cost of skills. If you don't know how to get this, I just unveil, buy some still veiled Cinder Swallows, unveil a couple of them, and you should get this craft. And then for this last flask, I was working with like Soulflight flasks, and just some other ones, but the Basalt Flask seemed to work best for defense. But I just need the increased effect and chance to avoid being stunned, because if you get stunned while you're cycloning, you'll die. And then the Dying Sun, just for the skills fire, 2 additional projectiles are in effect. I could swap it for this, but those 2 additional projectiles make a huge difference when it comes to damage. Alright, so for gems, we'll go over these just pretty quick. Level 3 Enhance with Assassin's Mark to get power charges on hit, plus more critical strike chance and crit multi, and mana when you kill an enemy. Anomalous Mark on hit, anomalous so that Assassin's Mark costs less mana. Up here we've got level 5 Awaken Castoncrit support with Culling Strike, Anomalous Vengeance, and Purifying Flame. So it gives you Consecrated Ground, which applies 5% increased damage, and then Vengeance will trigger Culling Strike as well. Over here we've got a level 19. It technically has to stay at 19 for how my build is. If you get like some lower attack speed or higher attack speed on something, then you might not be able to run a 19. You just got to kind of check that in the path of building to make sure you don't go over 10.1 attacks per second on Cyclone. So I'll cover that when we go over to path building. Level 4 Enlighten, and then a 20/20 Tempest Shield. For the body armor for the actual Crit Forbidden Rite, we've got 20/20 increased critical strike support, 5/20 Awakened Void Manipulation, a 20/23 increased critical damage support, 21/20 Forbidden Rite, a level 6 Awakened Castoncrit support. You do have to have level 6 for this to work. It's expensive, I know, but to get to 52% cooldown recovery, you do have to have a level 6 with the +3 levels on the skill tree. And then Divergent Cyclone, just for some more movement speed. Over here for the auras, Anomalous Determination, you don't need Anomalous, you can just use regular Determination. Level 4 Enlighten again, a 20/20 Val Discipline. So Val Discipline is actually your life flask on any kind of Chaos Inoculation build, because you can't use a life flask. And there's no flask that gives you energy shield, so you have to have Val Discipline. And I'm running Period of Elements, so I'm Elemental Ailment Immune and Elemental Resistances. Over here, got Anomalous Withering Step, which triggers additional debuffs, so I get 9. I would get a lot more if I was still running Ashes, but immediately inflicting 9, you'll get to 15 pretty quick. A level 2 Precision, you technically only need level 1 for the Watcher's Eye mod, 21/20 Flame Dash, and then Val Molten Shell. You can go with Immortal Call, you can go with Steel Skin, one of those other ones. I just prefer Molten Shell. Alright, so for the skill tree, if you go up here, it kind of looks very similar to a normal Castoncrit Forbidden Rite build, but you start down here. So work your way up here, take Charisma, move your way over here, you take all of these flash nodes, and then take the chance to gain a flash charge when you deal critical strike. You can technically drop this, probably, because you have this mod on here, but I just like to try to stack as many chances to gain a flask charge as possible, and I don't really need any of the other ones. So the Watcher's Eye here, so the gain energy shield per enemy hit while affected by discipline is mandatory for this build. There's no way around it. It's expensive. It's not stupid expensive. You're not like getting like a triple discipline or something. Watcher's Eye. Because of this one and because of the flask charges that you gain, you don't technically need the gain a flask charge when you deal a critical strike while affected by precision mod on there. But to me personally, every little bit helps. But that discipline mod is mandatory or you will die. You can't leech enough energy shield to not die. Take this power charge node. Come over here, take Doomcast to get more crit chance for spells, crit multi, and then this right here, plus level of all critical support gems. That's how you get your Awakened Cast on Crit to level 9, which gives you the ability to get to 34% cooldown recovery on that, to where you can get 18% on your boots to get you to 52% cooldown recovery, which lets you go above 7.54 attacks per second. I do have a semi-in-depth video on how castoncrit works, which I will put that up here as well. Cast Inoculation. For this large cluster jewel here, I'm just using Wicked Paul, I think, and Touch Cruelty. And then for these jewels, just some res. I got some chaos damage on there. And then more res and Corrupted Blood. Work over here, take this leech node, leech cluster right here with instant leech. Up here, you take Inner Conviction because of Militant Faith, converted by High Templar Dominus, turns this into more spell damage per power charge. Try to get one that has the reduced mana cost of skills per 10 devotion. Take this power charge right here. Come over here, take Deep Thoughts and increase mana reservation efficiency of skills. Up here, take this other power charge right here to give you a minimum power charge, and then increased chance to gain a power charge and increased damage per power charge. Take this whole Chaos Cluster here and the +1 level of all Chaos skill gems. Your Chaos Inoculation, so they lose 10%. Doesn't matter. Over here, Mage Hunter. This one's pretty mandatory to get spell block capped, and you get spell damage as well. The other ones on here, I mean, Burden Projection is nice because it gives you 30% more spell damage, but just get one with Mage Hunter. Try to get an 8 mod one, or an 8 an 8 passive skill one that has 3. That Mage Hunter's one of these two, because you don't really need to go up here. For this one, just some strength, because I do need strength. And then some spell damage and crit multi. And then over here, this one's very important. So you have to have 3% increased mana reservation efficiency of skills on one of your jewels. Unfortunately, you could probably get away with 2. But you see here, I've got 42 mana. If I take this off, I'm at 18. And it just doesn't feel good to play at 18 mana with everything. After I've been hit by Forbidden Rite, when my flask is up, then it feels okay. But I just don't like having that little amount of mana. So try to get one, buy a fractured percent reduced mana cost of skills jewel, and then just hit it with anything until you get the increased mana reservation efficiency. I got lucky and got global crit multi, which helps a little bit with damage. I'll come down here, take this to get more block spell damage, and then chance to block attack damage per 5% chance to block. Just give you every chance to get block capped. Coming down here and take Insightfulness to get increased mana and energy shield. Over here, Arcane Potency for more crit chance for spells and crit multi, and then crit multi against unique enemies. Coming down here, take Sovereignty, and then Orbs from your skills have 10% increased effect on you. I guess we'll go over here. Faith and Steel to get increased armor, energy shield, and all LE res, and then Fizz. Fizz damage from hits taken as chaos damage. You don't take any chaos damage, so that's just a free 10% reduction. Large Thread of Hope. Try to get a -10. Check it on Path of Building. If you don't need -10, if like -15 will be okay, then that's fine. It'll be a lot cheaper. But you'd use that to get Glancing Blows and Divine Shield. Glancing Blows doubles your block attack and block spell damage, but you take 65% of damage from the hits that you block. Sounds bad, but it's actually great. And then this just helps you recover energy shield from physical damage that was prevented. And then I had 2 extra skill points for now, so I just took these 2 to get some more armor and energy shield. As far as the Ascendancies go, so come over here, take Nature's Reprisal to get increased effect of Withered. Gain a flask charge. Flask gain 3 charges every 3 seconds with Nature's Adrenaline. Nature's Boon, you get 30% increased effect for magic utility flasks. And those are the only 3 that I took. I don't have to worry about elemental ailments. The chance for flasks to not consume charges is okay, but I gain flask charges so fast that it doesn't really matter. I don't want to try and keep up flasks, and the rest of these, I don't use a life flask. So this is what works for me. If you don't want to run Period of Elements and you find a way to get your resistances up to 75, then by all means use this one instead, so that you can not be, so you don't have to worry about elemental ailments. Alright, so as far as Path of Building goes, as you can see here, 5.6 million DPS. I'm at 10.08 trigger rate. As I was talking about earlier, so if you go to Cyclone, put everything in, go to the configuration, set everything. So as long as it says 10.1 or less, then you're fine. Once it gets over 10.1, then you start to actually lose damage. If you don't have the elevated boots, then you want it to be under 7.54. Yeah, so 5.6 million DPS. You know, got a decent amount of strength. I'm like 1 away from what I need. It says 9.7 million effective hit pool. I don't believe that. Seems it's kind of an arbitrary number to me. But your Fizz max hit, fire, cold, and lightning res. This is with Molten Shell on, but it's on my left click, so it's always up. Spell and block spell block capped. 87,000 armor with all my flasks up, which they're always up. We'll go over to the configuration here. So you do have power charges, you have endurance charges, you have tail 1 flask active, and you have been hit recently. The reason why that enchant on your boots is very important is because your mana cost goes from 10 down to 0. You will get 15 withered stacks on like a boss pretty quickly, so you just set that to 15. You can get up to like 50% shock with Tempest Shield and everything, but I just put it at 10 just to be more realistic. If you set it to 50, you know, it's like another million DPS, but just to be more realistic, since we're not technically shock-based build. All right, well, that was the build. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you learned something, maybe. If you do have any questions, please drop me a comment below, and I'll be more than happy to answer it to the best of my ability. If you did enjoy the video, please give it a like, and if you are enjoying the content, please consider subscribing and click that notification bell to get notified when I post a new video, because I will be posting probably 1 update video, maybe, and I'll do a map showcase of running probably like 100 cemetery maps or 100 Crimson Temple maps or something like that.
I'm not up to that just yet.